The issue of effective policing has once again come into the spotlight following the Diepsloot suspected mob attack in which 7 people were killed at the weekend. Police say that they are investigating cases of murder after 7 people were found burnt to death in Diepsloot extensions 12 and 13. So to discuss this further, in fact, joining us via video link is Willem Els, Senior Training Coordinator on Terrorism and Explosives Related Incidences at the Institute for Security Studies. Willem, good afternoon and thank you for your time with us here on the SABC at this hour.
Good afternoon to you.
At this point, looking at the issue of mob justice, vigilantism, a phenomenon that is not new to South African communities. What are you observing on that front? What can it be attributed to?
Yeah, as you rightly mentioned, it's not something that is new to South Africa. But what we saw specifically in this case in Diepsloot is that if you look at the recently released crime statistics, that we see that that station is one of the hardest hit, especially in terms of violent crimes, where they are under the top 10 in Gauteng and also South Africa. And we see that the community feel that they do not receive the attention and also the service from the police that they need to get in order to restore law and order and to maintain law and order in their area. So that prompted them then to take matters into their own hands, and unfortunately so, it seems that 7 people lost their lives.
Well, Willem, you're bringing the issue of trust to the fore. Some questioning whether it is an injustice or it's just a solution for hopelessness. You've alluded to the role of police officers and law enforcement. Perhaps you could also, look at explore some of the solutions of the cards, given, the requirements for effective policing, response from SABC at large. How do you think they also play a role?
Of course they play a role. When you look at sector policing, that requires an effective involvement and participation by the local communities themselves. And we will have to sit back and investigate and see to what extent has the community been involved, and how active was the community, how accessible was the police towards the community. What we hear from the ground and what we read in the papers, based on reports from the people, is that the service from the police is not what it's supposed to be. Apparently, they arrive on the scenes hours after they have been called. And one of the reports also indicated that it seems that the police are scared of the criminals. That just indicates to us that area really became ungovernable in terms of policing, and that the fear or the respect for the law is non-existent in that area. That led to a desperate response from the community. And what happens now, or what is going to happen, is that the police will obviously look at low-hanging fruit. They will start to prosecute those people who perpetrated these acts, and rightly so. But what will happen is, once these people are then be arrested, that will lead to further dissent from the community, because they will feel that they are being targeted rather than the criminals that are actually the cause for this problem.
So, Willem, if I'm hearing correctly, you alluding to the fact that communities, in fact, would have explored more peaceful forms of protest prior to what transpired in terms of vigilantism or mob justice, because there was a failure to address their needs. And so one is to question whether these incidences are sporadic, or, is there a build-up? And if we're looking at that, help us understand the psyche of mob justice. What makes ordinary citizens participate in such a crime? What really is transpiring in that moment?
Yeah, what we pick up here is that there seems to be a sense of hopelessness within the community. Like one of the reports also indicated that the people indicate that they are the forgotten people. They feel that the police and the state have forgotten them. They feel that they have deserted them, and they are being handed over to this lawlessness, because if we look at the amount of crimes, and what is very challenging or very important that we identify in that area is that your contract crime or your serious and violent crimes In some cases, they rose over the past year with 114%. Now, all of that lead to some sense of desperateness within the communities. They feel that they have to take the law into their own hands, and then what happens is normally when a group of people come together and they start to psych each other up, then it's very often lead to this type of justice. And what we all must understand, we have to support the rule of law. Those people, even if we believe that they are guilty of these crimes, they still have to be tried, and they have to have a chance to defend themselves in court and prove their case. So we cannot just take the law into our own hands, even how it doesn't matter how desperate we are. We understand the desperate feeling amongst the community, but at the end of the day, that is not going to solve the problem. On the other hand, we will have to look at police management. This problem has been ongoing for a long time. What have police management done in order to address this situation, these grievances of the community? Because if they timelessly address these challenges, we might not have been exposed to these challenges that we are having at the moment.
So, Willem, just as we conclude then, looking at the impact of what transpired in Diepsloot, this incident, what impact will it have in particular on the communities, the consequences involved as well, particularly for those who've obviously murdered the people, the timing of it all? We are also edging closer to elections.
Yes, we're heading up to the elections, so things are tense. But also, once people experience this type of violence, what happens is the people are exposed to extreme violence, and then also the bodies were set alight. All of that has got a lasting impact, especially on the younger people and the children that observed these types of violence. And that will have a lasting effect on the community, undoubtedly. What we need, if we look at a solution for this, is we need for police management to step up and not come up just with a temporary solution. We need the police management will have to sit down with the community, and they will have to find solutions for this problem. Otherwise, this is just going to get more and more out of hand.
Willem Els, let's leave that conversation there for now. Thank you for your time with us here on the SABC at this hour. Effective policing once again coming to the fore following the Diepsloot suspected mob attack in which 7 people were killed. This occurred at the weekend. So we're monitoring developments from here and too.